Love, love, until I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello and welcome to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. Today we're here with Alyssa Ages and Georgia Byrne, and we're discussing Our Lady Queen of Peace's message from Medjugorje on the 25th of March 2019, and we're also talking about how it relates to them in their life and in their music. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mirella.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back again.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll start to read the message and then you can just talk, we'll just talk it line by line.
Sure.
Our Lady said on the 25th of March 2019 to the world, "Dear children, this is a time of grace. As nature renews itself for a new life, you also are called to conversion. Decide for God. Little children, you are empty and do not have joy because you do not have God. Therefore, pray until prayer becomes your life. In nature, seek God who created you, because nature speaks and fights for life and not for death. Wars are reigning in hearts and nations because you do not have peace. And you do not see, little children, a brother in your neighbour. Therefore, return to God and to prayer. Thank you for having responded to my call." So
Wow.
there we go. It's a powerful message, and this
Yeah.
is a nice answer. Why we don't have peace is because people aren't praying. They're not praying continually, she
Exactly.
says, you know. I'll start with in line by line and let me know what you think. "Dear children, this is a time of grace. As nature renews itself for a new life, you also are called to conversion. Decide for God."
Yeah, I guess I can speak to that. I spoke with you last week about how I used to keep my music career and my faith as two separate things. And there came a moment where I got asked how I combined the two things, and I couldn't answer the question. And I came to this realization that something had to change, and I guess I really had to decide, was I going to go all in with my faith? And if I was going to do that, how was I going to combine music into that as well? And I think taking that step with Georgia, by saying that small little yes, God's just really given us this beautiful time of grace, and all the blessings that have come out of that have been amazing. So we got to travel to World Youth Day in Panama, and we sang with Father Rob Galea.
Gee.
And there were 1.4 million young Catholics there.
My
It was incredible. The
goodness.
biggest crowd that we sang to was probably about 40,000.
Yeah.
But just being around all those young people just, on fire for their faith, it shows you the universal church. I mean, that was really a blessing.
Yeah, we got to sing our song "Set Fire," and it wasn't like we were just sharing it, and there was, say, 30,000 people. At some concerts had less. Didn't matter. Just people coming together for God, singing the song with us.
Yeah.
That was it was like an out of body experience, because we felt like God really gave us the song in terms of the melody and the lyrics.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
the theme of that entire festival in Panama was, "Here I am, the servant of the Lord.
Yeah.
Speak
to
your
be
word
will."
in me and let your will be done."
Yeah.
And I guess if I kind of relate that to our life, we said that small little yes
Yeah.
to, putting ourselves on the line, I guess, and putting
Yeah.
our faith out there. And God's just blessed us a million times.
Yeah.
God, Father Rob always says this thing. He says, God will never outdo us in generosity, you give him your hands and he'll give you everything.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess that's really come to fruition with us with Set Fire. I can't
really
describe it any other way.
It really has.
Yeah.
Just being able to sing in Panama
Yeah.
with Father Rob, when he says his testimony on stage, I was literally crying. His testimony, read his book Breakthrough, because it really tells the story about what he went through and how he became a Catholic and a priest. How he became a Catholic priest, sorry.
Yeah.
And, he kept saying to us, God will bless you for being here and things, but he just blessed us just by being there. We never went on stage without praying. So Father would always pray that people would see Jesus through us when we're on stage, that we're his instruments, and that we could bring some light and life to people, and his book really shows really talks about that the
That's
conversion he
beautiful.
had, and he just
Yeah.
has this heart for bringing people to Jesus.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did backstage. We prayed, you know.
And that's something that, I mean, I've
Yeah.
continued that as a way of integrating my faith in my music, you know, on the way to a gig, you know, praying, you know, God, how can I bring your presence into this place?
Yeah.
Even though it's like a completely secular environment, you know, you never know what conversation you might have with someone.
You don't know. You don't know how you're going to touch someone. I remember once,
Yeah.
because I was riding a trike, and because I had an injury, spinal injury, run over, and this guy, and I just used to ride to do Channel 31. I'd ride there all the time, and this guy stopped me once, and he said to me, "You've changed my." I don't even know him, and I've never seen him before. He goes, "You changed my life just by me watching you
my
doing what
gosh.
you're doing." And I was thinking, this is just a random person just came up to me and said that.
Wow.
I thought, you don't know, just you doing the will of God, which what you believe is the will of
Yeah.
God for you in the moment,
Yeah.
how it will translate to someone else just
Yeah.
by getting on with
We've
it.
had girls in the Melbourne music industry message us and say, "Oh, you know, this song's really uplifted us." And I'm like, "How are you?" "Oh, going through a bit of a hard time." And then I'll share my struggles, and Alyssa, we'll just be open and just say, "I'll pray for you."
Yeah.
And just, it's about being real. Sometimes in the world you feel like you have to protect yourself. You have to look like you have it all together on Facebook or Instagram, and just being real and going, "I'm actually having a really hard day."
Yeah, I love that,
And
that
I
people are
responded
honest.
that to this
Yeah.
girl the other day. To be honest, there's some struggles in my life, but then there's amazing doors. She was like, "Oh, this song, it's taken off, and you're in the top 10 of the TCM charts, and you went to Panama." And I was like, that is all God's blessings.
Yeah.
But then there's also still struggles in my family or whatever. But
Yeah.
Jesus just says, keep your eyes on me. So if we can share that with people,
That's the
it
essence.
says in our song, you know, even though the world brings us down, we feel lost and hopeless. In Jesus we are found. He makes a
Yes.
way. He has a promise, and he will make a way. And we say that that you'll set fire to the world when you know God's love.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that we feel that the message has translated,
Yeah.
people are saying it's uplifting them. And then they're asking us for prayer. Someone asked Alyssa, "Oh, do you know a good church my friend can go to?" You know.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
We have to go to a break now, but we'll talk a little bit more about it, and also about the set fire, what it actually means. It's not real
Sure.
fire. Don't light matches. You're watching Spirit of Life. We're going to a break. We'll be back very shortly.
Flow till I feel much breath of the Spirit flowing in me. Flow till I feel much breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello and welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich. If you've just joined us, we're here with Alyssa Ages and Georgia Byrne, who are singing a song called Set Fire. And it's on the charts now. You'll hear it on 96.3 FM and probably other radio stations soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Mirella.
I'll start by reading the next part of Our Lady's message on the 25th of 2019 and see if it rings anything to you that you feel inspired to say. Our Lady said, "Little children, you are empty and do not have joy because you do not have God. Therefore pray until prayer becomes your life." I'll just leave it there. Is there something that's inspired either of you?
You can talk.
I guess I sense to say that before I had a relationship with Jesus in my heart, I didn't have a lot of joy. So my joys would come from worldly things, like if I'd win a dance competition when I was a teenager, or if I felt like I had good friends at school, or if I'd go well in an exam, or so they were the times that I'd get joy. And when those things faded away, I didn't have joy. And so I guess the best thing to sort of say is that I got quite depressed at around 18, 19. And I got involved in things that I really shouldn't have, which I won't go into. And I had this girl take me back to church, and my brother James, we met a Catholic family in Melbourne, and they took us back to church. And it was the day that I went to confession with a priest, and I just prayer was really foreign. And my friend said, just talk to the priest and talk to God like a friend. And so I just started telling the priest all these things that I'd done, and he just said, today in Jesus' name, you can start again and you can be, made new. And I'll never forget that. It was from that day, started going to Mass once a week, and that depression and that sadness really lifted, and I found a new joy in Jesus. And so from that day, it's like I've had joy because of God, even though my life can be actually going quite you know, not great.
Yeah.
I know God's there and filling me with his love. So, yeah.
You had that kind of peace underneath it
The
all.
peace
Yeah.
from Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I guess from what you just read, something about the line about prayer.
I'll read it again. Therefore, pray until prayer becomes your life.
Yeah, I can talk to that. I guess when I made that decision to, you know, combine music and faith, and really just go in at 100%. I decided, in the mornings I wanted to start my day with going to mass, and that's just been absolutely life changing. Like, it really just sets me up for a good day. It keeps me in touch with God. It reminds me to pray more throughout the day also. And it's funny, like on the days that I don't go, I notice the difference in myself. And so,
It's the biggest thing. Even Our Lady said to the visionaries in Medjugorje, if you could see me appearing to you like she is, or go to Holy Mass, I would say go to Holy Mass. It's much more powerful because Jesus is there. He's right there.
I was reading something yesterday or this morning, I can't remember. I was having my morning coffee, just doing a scroll on social media, and I saw this line. Someone said, if we really believed that Jesus was present in the Eucharist, we would be crawling on our hands and knees to get there every day. And I just found that, I thought that was so inspiring, and it was just like, this is where it's at.
Yeah. I remember a new Catholic, when he became a new Catholic, I remember him in church, watching him in church, and just being shaking in awe of the Eucharist. He's been a Catholic now for many years, but in the beginning, just watching this, because it was his first time understanding the Eucharist, it was just and I guess sometimes you might become habitual about it, but to really remember the essence of it. Beautiful.
Incredible stuff.
And Our Lady also said, in nature, seek God who created you, because nature speaks and fights for life and not for death. Wars are reigning in your hearts and nations because you do not have peace, and you do not see, little children, a brother in your neighbour. Therefore return to God and to prayer. Is there anything that rings up in that? I think it's beautiful, like when we hear about all these wars going on.
Yeah.
She's just given us the answer. Wars are only happening, basically. She said, because you do not have peace, you do not see, little children, a brother in your neighbour. If every human being on earth looked at each other like they were looking really at Jesus, they'd be behaving differently to each other, wouldn't they?
Of course they would.
I think that's something that happened with me. Like when I became a Christian, I saw people differently, and I feel like that was something from Jesus. I didn't see people as annoying traits, or because we all have I have annoying traits. Everyone does. Yeah. You see people for that. You see people the way God would. God loves everyone, and as brothers and sisters. Like I know when Alyssa and I have both been to World Youth Days. We both went to Cologne, and I went to Cologne, and Alyssa's been to them, and you get to be around so many people that are Catholic, and they're all sharing that love with each other. Yeah, trying to take that into the world.
It's a different vibe to everyday life, and it's really hard to explain what those situations are like to people who weren't there. Everyone's just happy. Yeah, and I think that really transpires to people who may not necessarily be into their faith or may not know God. They see the joy in other people, and it's I want what they've got. Yeah. It's just, I can't even put it into words.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I've seen on some videos, when they have on YouTube of, say, World Youth Day or the Youth Day in Medjugorje. Everyone, the teenagers, everyone, they're so happy and they're inspiring each other. It's just
And if we can bring that into the world, into the workplace, or I think it's doing things that kind of shock people. Going, oh, why are you doing that? Might be someone at work sometimes doesn't have lunch, and I know I try and pray in the morning, just bring an extra lunch in. I know it sounds funny. Oh, how come you brought this in? You didn't have to do that. And doing things that make people go, why did you do that? And then hopefully they connect that to, it's because you've had that conversion of heart, because Jesus calls us to do things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
yeah.
Acts of love. And that's so important, these little acts of love that people do. That would really touch someone, they didn't have lunch and you brought lunch for them.
That's it. And it's with Alyssa. Alyssa's let's write this song, let's go to Panama. I was, okay. Alyssa kind of put, when you just put forward an idea that's of faith, it can really change your life,
Beautiful. Yeah. And nature wants us to be happy, and nature's life-giving, and so we've got to be life-giving to each other as well. It's our natural state of being, but we've bombarded it with other things. Other things have come in which shouldn't be, so we've got to go back to the original way of being. Anyway, we better go to a break. You're watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us. We'll be back with more very shortly.
Blow till I hear the breath of the Spirit blowing in me. Blow, blow till I hear the breath of the Spirit blowing in me.
Hello and welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich and we're here with Alyssa Ages and Georgia Byrne. And we're discussing Our Lady Queen of Peace's message. This one is from March the 2nd, 2019, which I'll read in a moment. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'll read Our Lady's message to the world on March the 2nd, 2019. Our Lady said, "Dear children, I call you apostles of my love. I am showing you my Son, who is the true peace and the true love. As a mother, through the mercy of God, I desire to lead you to Him. My children, this is why I am calling you to reflect on yourselves. Starting out from my Son, that you look to Him with the heart, and that you may see with the heart where you are and where your life is going. My children, I am calling you to comprehend that it is thanks to my Son that you live, through His love and sacrifice. You are asking of my Son to be merciful to you, and I am calling you to mercy. You are asking of Him to be good to you and to forgive you. And for how long am I imploring you, my children, to forgive and to love all the people whom you meet? When you comprehend my words with the heart, you will comprehend and come to know the true love, and you will be able to be apostles of that love. My apostles, my dear children, thank you." So isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
So I'll read it line by line, or a few paragraphs, I suppose. Our Lady said, "Dear children, I call you apostles of my love. I'm showing you my Son, who is the true peace and the true love. As a mother, through the mercy of God, I desire to lead you to Him." So she's showing us He's the true peace, He's the true love. We're not going to get it from anything else,
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, something that happens at my church before Mass in the morning is we pray the Rosary every morning, and that's been, wonderful. Just meditate on the life of Jesus and really come to realise that Mary leads us to Him. It's been great.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I was even thinking, in all of our day-to-day lives, we have struggles. That could be anything. It could be traffic, from as little as traffic to family issues, someone sick in our family. My friend just called me last night. Her dad had a stroke, so she was just absolutely beside herself. And at those moments, you realise life is so short, and you think, if you have God and you know that God loves you and is with you, and that this isn't the only life, it puts everything in perspective. I said I'm going to pray for him today, and I'll pray for him tonight, and we just really talked about, God's going to be in that situation, and that's the thing that people need to know, that no one's alone. We've got, no matter what, God's with us. You know
and
what I
just
mean?
to take that time, and because the world is going at such a fast pace, to stop and go against all that, and just maybe look at a picture of Jesus that you can relate to, and just look at Him and pray. Let His, like Our Lady said in one of the messages, His warm eyes, warmth, give you the warmth.
Yes.
So Our Lady said, "My children, this is why I'm calling you to reflect on yourselves, starting out from my Son, that you look to Him with the heart, and that you may see with the heart where you are and where your life is going." So we have to, that's an interesting one, isn't it? See where you are and where your life, where do you want your life to be going?
Exactly, and it's whenever you're making, I guess, decisions and, bringing God into that, really letting God lead you in the direction that He wants you to go.
Exactly.
Because it might be different to what you think you want, and God's always got a better plan, always. But even bringing God into the day-to-day, like just the small things.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about traffic or
Yeah.
help me
just-
find a car spot.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
right.
I know a lady who said
Yeah.
she was at our church when we were in Port Melbourne, and she used to say every time she prayed to St. Anthony for a car spot, she never, ever, ever missed out on
Yeah,
a
my
car
mum
spot.
says that.
Beautiful.
My mum's Hail Mary full of
Guaranteed,
grace,
she
help me
said.
find a parking space.
Yeah, I try that too.
But yeah, you said something about where our life will go,
Yes.
and I think we were saying that that's what our song that we wrote together is about, because both Alyssa and I, we have a desire to share music. We love singing. We love
Yeah.
writing songs. I write lots of songs, so does Alyssa.
Yeah.
Just about everyday things, love, breakups.
Yeah.
I write about lots of different things, and so does Alyssa. But the song is about where God's leading you, and that if we are led by ourselves, there's a limitation. But if God leads us, there's nothing that we can't achieve with Him, and that's what Set Fire's about. St. Catherine of
Exactly.
Siena says, if you are who you are meant to be,
That's
you
right.
will set fire to the world. If you are who God was meant you to be, you'll set
Yeah.
fire to the world.
Be
Yeah.
who God meant you to be, and you'll set fire
Yeah.
to the world. So that's
Yeah.
like everyone being in the will of God for themselves. It's not the same for everybody. Everyone,
That's
if
for
everyone
them.
does their will of God.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
You'll set
imagine-
fire to the world. I mean,
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
both using music before Set Fire. We were using it in the industries, but I mean, I can say there came a point where I was like, I'm not really feeling fulfilled by
Yeah.
this. But the moment that I took those gifts that God's given me and used them, back for God,
Yeah.
that's when the magic
Happened.
happened.
Yeah.
And I've never been so, I guess, motivated in my career,
Yeah.
but never been so on fire for
Yeah.
my faith at the same time.
Yeah, like
So-
exactly. You could be a doctor. You could be. It doesn't matter what
St.
you do.
Catherine of
If you,
Siena was onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And what's your
amazing.
hope for the future in your music?
Sure. So we've been in the studio writing some more music. We're hoping for a second single to be released in the next couple of months.
Oh, beautiful.
What else? Just keep performing at different events and keep bringing light and hope, I guess, to the world.
Yeah.
Set
Yeah.
fire to the world. That's what
Yeah,
we're gonna do.
exactly.
yeah. Just want to use our
That's
music to
beautiful.
share
I'll
a good
just
message.
read one more bit. Our lady said, you are asking of him to be good to you and to forgive you. And for how long am I imploring you, my children, to forgive and to love all the people whom you meet? We'll just leave it at that one. So that's what we have to do. We've got to love everybody we meet. We've got to be able to try and see Jesus in them. Even it's not
Exactly.
easy all the time because we're in the real world, but Jesus is actually in everybody.
Yeah. It's
what Mary
funny,
said
I work
too,
at a
yeah.
youth justice centre
Yes.
with boys in custody between 16 and 21, and a lot of people say to me, how can you go in there with the things that they've done? And I just say, well, God loves them.
Yeah.
And there's so much beauty in so many of them. They're so talented, and, they've done things that aren't right legally, but that's because maybe they've had a hard life, and so being able to share with some of them, music, I
Yeah.
sing with them, but also being able to share that, there's hope
Right,
and God
yeah.
loves them. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
That's
I think,
so beautiful.
yeah, I think that's really important to, share.
Lovely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on the program.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
It's been really wonderful having you here. I'm
Thank
sure you're
you.
going to inspire a lot of people with your music and your lives. You've been watching Spirit of Life. I'm Mirella Rich, and our guests were Georgia Byrne and Alyssa Ages, and we'll see you again sometime soon. May God bless you, keep you healthy, happy and safe.
Bring it to birth and blow where you will. Blow, blow, blow till I be but breath of the Spirit.